Have you ever contemplated how prepared you are for a global disaster? It's a chilling thought, isn't it? From wildfires to hurricanes, we've seen the devastating impact that natural disasters can have. But there's a looming threat that many of us are unaware of, a celestial event of epic proportions. Our sun, the very source of life, can also be a source of great destruction. The solar flare, a massive explosion on the sun's surface, is a phenomenon that has the potential to unleash a wave of devastation unlike anything we've ever seen. And in the year 2024, we stand on the precipice of a potential cataclysm, the solar flare apocalypse. This isn't a Hollywood movie plot or a theoretical scenario, it's a very real, very imminent threat. Our modern world, with its dependency on electronics and technology, is particularly vulnerable to the effects of a powerful solar flare. One such flare could wipe out power grids, disrupt communication systems, and send us spiraling into a technological dark age. Without electricity, our daily lives as we know them would cease to exist. No lights, no internet, no refrigeration. Businesses would falter, transportation would halt, and chaos would ensue. The very fabric of our society could unravel as we struggle to adapt to a world without the conveniences we've come to rely on. But despite the grim picture painted, it's not all doom and gloom. There's power in knowledge and preparation. By understanding the threat posed by the solar flare apocalypse, we can take steps to mitigate its impact. We can build resilient systems, develop contingency plans, and educate ourselves and others about this celestial threat. The year 2024 may seem far off, but the clock is ticking. The solar flare apocalypse is not just a possibility, it's a looming reality. It's a global peril that demands our attention and action. In 2024, humanity will face its greatest global peril yet, the solar flare apocalypse. Solar flares are colossal eruptions of energy released by the sun. These flares are no ordinary bursts. They are monumental explosions on the sun's surface, releasing energy equivalent to millions of hydrogen bombs. They're a cosmic spectacle of immense power and beauty, but they also hold potential for unprecedented destruction. To understand the sheer magnitude of these solar flares, let's put things into perspective. A single flare can release energy up to 6 times 10 to the power of 25 joules. That's about 1/6 of the sun's total energy output per second, all concentrated in one explosive burst. That's more energy than humanity has used in its entire history. So what does this mean for us? Well, when these flares are directed towards Earth, they can wreak havoc on our technological infrastructure. They can cause geomagnetic storms, which have the power to disrupt our power grids, satellites, and communication systems. Imagine a world without electricity, even for a moment. No lights, no internet, no mobile phones. Hospitals would struggle to operate, emergency services would be hampered, and our entire digital lifestyle would come to a screeching halt. Solar flares can also damage satellites orbiting our Earth. These satellites are critical for everything from GPS navigation to weather forecasting. A serious solar flare could mean losing these services when we need them the most. Moreover, they can affect our astronauts and space missions. High-energy particles released during a solar flare can pose radiation risks to astronauts, even causing immediate harm if the flare is particularly strong. And let's not forget, these flares are natural occurrences. We can't prevent them, we can't stop them. We're at the mercy of the sun's activity, which follows an 11-year cycle known as the solar cycle. We're currently in solar cycle 25, and the peak is expected to hit in 2024. It's a ticking time bomb, and we must be prepared. The power of solar flares is immense, their potential for destruction significant. We must invest in understanding, predicting, and mitigating their impacts to safeguard our civilization. Scene script: imagine a world without electricity. Let that sink in for a moment. A world where the daily conveniences we take for granted are abruptly stripped away. That's the stark reality we could face in the aftermath of a massive solar flare. Without power, the intricate machinery of our modern civilization grinds to a halt. The lights that used to guide us through the night are extinguished. The hum of refrigerators preserving our food falls silent. Our devices, those portals to the world, are reduced to inert blocks of metal and plastic. Businesses that form the backbone of our economy crumble overnight. No electricity means no electronic transactions. Banks, stock exchanges, retail stores, all paralyzed. The prosperity we've built over centuries could evaporate in the blink of an eye. And think about our transportation systems. Without traffic lights, roads would descend into chaos. Air travel would become impossible without radar systems and electronic navigation. And consider our reliance on electric trains and subways in major cities. Suddenly, millions of people would find themselves stranded. unable to get to their jobs, their families, or even basic services. But it's not just about the material aspects of our lives. Consider the human cost. Hospitals depend heavily on electricity to power life-saving machines and to keep medicines refrigerated. Without power, the very institutions we rely on to preserve life would be crippled. The potential fallout of a solar flare is a sobering reminder of our vulnerability. We're more dependent on technology than ever before, and a solar flare could expose the fragility of our interconnected world. The 2024 solar flare apocalypse threatens to push humanity to the brink of collapse. We must wake up to this reality and take steps to prepare for this looming threat, because if we don't, we might just find ourselves in a world we no longer recognize. Scientists warn that the impact of a solar flare could be catastrophic. To truly comprehend this, let's delve into the science behind these celestial phenomena. Solar flares are essentially massive explosions on the sun's surface, releasing energy equivalent to millions of hydrogen bombs. This energy, in the form of electromagnetic radiation, travels across space and reaches our planet within 8 minutes. One of the most concerning aspects of solar flares is their potential to damage our ozone layer. The ozone layer acts as Earth's sunscreen, absorbing and scattering the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation. If a solar flare of significant magnitude were to strike, it could damage this protective layer, allowing dangerous levels of solar radiation to penetrate our atmosphere. But what does this mean for us on the ground? Well, increased solar radiation can lead to a range of harmful effects. It can cause skin cancer and cataracts in humans, damage ecosystems, and disrupt the migratory patterns of animals. On a larger scale, it can lead to more extreme weather events and changes in climate. In addition to the biological implications, there's the technological aspect to consider. The electromagnetic pulse from a solar flare can interfere with our technology, causing widespread blackouts and disrupting communication systems. This could take down everything from our smartphones to our satellites, leaving us in the dark both literally and figuratively. Our reliance on technology is a double-edged sword in this scenario. While it has undoubtedly improved our lives, it also makes us vulnerable to solar flares. Our technology and infrastructure are simply not equipped to handle such a disaster. Our modern society is built on a fragile network of interconnected systems, all of which rely on electricity. A solar flare could cause a cascading failure, bringing this intricate network crashing down. The result? A world plunged into chaos, with our way of life threatened like never before. The science is clear. Solar flares pose a very real threat to our planet. We need to understand this threat, prepare for it, and find ways to mitigate its impact. Because, as it stands, our technology and infrastructure are simply not equipped to handle such a disaster. But there is hope. Even in the face of the impending solar flare apocalypse, humanity holds the power to change its course. It's not about averting the inevitable, but about adapting and preparing for it. We have the capacity to minimize the impact of this global peril, and it starts with understanding our options. Promoting renewable energy sources is one of the most significant steps we can take. Solar flares might disrupt our electrical grids, but they can't take away the sun, wind, or the power of flowing water. Harnessing these resources can help us weather the storm and keep the lights on, even when traditional power sources fail. Moreover, we can invest in creating robust backup systems. These systems could be our lifeline when the primary sources fail. Think of it as an insurance policy for our civilization, a safety net ready to catch us when we fall. But it's not just about the physical systems. It's also about preparing our societies for the potential challenges we might face. We need to develop comprehensive emergency response plans, ones that consider every aspect of our daily lives from food supply to medical care. These plans can guide us through the chaos and help us maintain order in the face of adversity. Education plays a crucial role as well. The public needs to understand the threat we face and how they can contribute to the solution. This is not a fight for scientists or governments alone. It's a fight for every single one of us. To effectively prepare, we also need to foster international cooperation. This is a global threat, and it calls for a global response. We must share knowledge, resources, and strategies across borders. In the face of the solar flare apocalypse, we must stand united. Governments, organizations, and individuals must come together to prepare for this imminent threat. It's not just about survival, it's about preserving the world as we know it. Together, we can face the solar flare apocalypse and come out on the other side stronger than ever. Preparing for the solar flare apocalypse is a collective effort. It's a responsibility that falls not just on the shoulders of our world leaders, but on every single one of us. In the face of this imminent global peril, we need to be proactive. We need to educate ourselves and those around us about the potential fallout of a solar flare and how to react when it happens. Knowledge is power, and in this case, it could be the difference between chaos and order, between despair and hope. Emergency response plans are crucial in this scenario. They're our lifeline in the aftermath of a solar flare. These plans should include steps on how to react immediately after the event, how to communicate without the use of technology, and how to survive in a world without electricity. But these plans shouldn't just exist on paper, gathering dust in a drawer. They need to be practiced, revised, and updated regularly to reflect our ever-changing world and technological landscape. It's one thing to have a plan, but another to know it by heart and be able to execute it under pressure. Public education plays a paramount role in our preparation. Understanding the science behind solar flares, the potential damage they can cause, and the steps we can take to minimize their impact is crucial. This is a conversation that needs to extend beyond the scientific community. It's a dialogue we should all be part of, whether we're students, parents, teachers, or employees. Developing backup systems, promoting renewable energy sources, and building resilient infrastructures are also key steps in preparing for a solar flare. These actions will help us bounce back faster and stronger in the aftermath of a solar flare. The solar flare apocalypse is not just a threat, it's an opportunity for us to come together as a global community, to learn, to prepare, and to protect our world. It's a call to action that we all need to answer. We must act now to protect our way of life. The solar flare apocalypse is real, and it's coming. This isn't a line from a science fiction movie, it's a stern warning from scientists around the globe. Our sun, the life-giving star that we take for granted, has the potential to unleash a solar flare of apocalyptic proportions. It's a disaster that could occur tomorrow, next week, or in the next few months. The clock is ticking, and we are the ones who can turn the hands back, who can buy ourselves some time. The impending solar flare apocalypse is not an invincible monster. It's a challenge, a threat that we can counteract with collective action, awareness, and preparedness. We find ourselves standing on the precipice of a new era, a time when our resilience will be tested like never before. This is not a challenge we can shy away from. It's a call to arms, a call to every government, organization, and individual to rise and face the threat head-on. The solar flare apocalypse is not just about the survival of the fittest. It's about the survival of the smartest, the most prepared. It's about creating robust systems, promoting renewable energy sources, and developing backup plans. It's about not just weathering the storm, but thriving in the aftermath. This is not a time for fear, but a time for action. It's a time for us to show that we, as a species, can adapt and overcome, that we can face the greatest threats and emerge stronger, wiser. Let's not wait for the solar flare apocalypse to catch us unprepared. Let's not stand by and watch as our world plunges into chaos. Let's take action today, tomorrow, and every day after, until we have fortified our world against the looming threat. The solar flare apocalypse is real, and it's coming. But together, we can turn this crisis into an opportunity to show the universe that we are not just survivors, but thrivers. Join us in raising awareness and preparing for this unprecedented threat. Thank you for joining us in this crucial conversation. Today we've explored the imminent threat of the solar flare apocalypse, set to unfold in this very year, 2024. We've dived deep into the immense power of solar flares, the potential aftermath of such an event, and the science behind this global peril. We've also offered a glimmer of hope, emphasizing the importance of robust, resilient systems, renewable energy sources, and emergency response plans in mitigating the impact of this catastrophe. The call to action is clear. We must come together as a global community to prepare, educate, and act. This conversation doesn't end here. We urge you to share this information far and wide. Encourage your local governments, organizations, and communities to take action. Our survival depends on our preparedness. Knowledge is our most powerful tool. Stay informed, stay prepared. Subscribe to our channel for more important updates and information.